Hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And today, I have a question. Are you doing your magic right? Now, before you click off and say, "I don't know what she's talking about," are you doing your magic right based on your definition of your magical system, based on your expectations as a practitioner, based on your goals, based on your ideology, based on your worldview? Are you doing magic right? Let me get into it. And I'm using myself for all of this because I've done these things. That's why I wanted to bring this up. Okay, one of the ways you're doing your magic right, well, I love to start with the positive, that I know I'm doing it right, is I believe in checks and balances. Besides my actual emotions on how I feel about a thing, but sometimes emotions can be confusing. They can kind of, you have to learn sometimes with emotions what's driving that emotion. Is it anxiety, which is fear, and so forth? If that's the case, you might have a very valid reason to feel that emotion, that apprehension, or whatever that feeling you're feeling. Sometimes it's a tummy ache. That's how I work. But it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. You know what I mean? Approaching magic, doing something I've never done before, I get a little nervous sometimes. I'm putting in the effort, I'm putting in the work, I want it to work. And there's that weird apprehension because I don't really know what I'm doing and I'm just kind of feeling my way around it. So yeah, that's a feeling I would, if I only relied on my emotions, I would stop. I wouldn't follow through, right? Me being aware of that, that's definitely practicing magic the right way for me, and probably your way too, is being able to understand yourself, know thyself, know yourself, the witch, the practitioner, the spiritualist, the occultist. Know yourself, the wise woman. Understand who you are, how you respond, your reactions, your emotions, so that you're better able to decipher what you're really reacting to. Are you reacting? And just getting a baseline, because all of that energy, because it's all energy, will go in your magic. And after the spell is done, it also, guess what? It influences it. So you kind of need to be tapped into who you are. Now, of course, we're evolving beings. Things are happening, new challenges. You may not always react, respond, or express how your emotions quite the same way. Knowing that and giving room for that is also a good thing as well, by the way. So there's that. Now, let me get to the other stuff. The question, have I practiced magic the right way? Have I been? So, not, no. So not all the time. All right, prime example. I know that if I do, I'll give an example. If I just light a candle and I speak my intention out loud, it's possible that spell will work. I have had success that way. Simple candle magic. A white candle. I light it. I don't do anything with the candle. I just put the candle in the candle holder, I light it, and I speak what I want. My intention out loud. Or work, not worse. Or yet, I think it. I have had success. A simple candle spell can yield incredible results. I think if you've been doing this, you kind of get it. However, the results is not always what I intended exactly. Sometimes I don't really see where it's working. I see like hit or miss situations where it's like kind of, I'm not sure if that spell worked. I feel like I'm on the right path. I'm getting to it, but not sure. Or I kind of got what I want, but not really. Basically, unexpected results. Okay, so what do you do with that? Well, I have whole videos on how to kind of go back and look at, what your intention was and break it all down. But honestly, with my standards and understanding what's more effective, no, I'm not doing it the right way. Why didn't I anoint that candle? That would be the right way. Why didn't I anoint that candle? I have anointing oils. Why didn't I find the appropriate color that corresponds with my intention? Why didn't I flesh out my intention more? Why wasn't I more specific, more clearer? Why didn't I use herbs? Why didn't I write a petition? Why didn't I bring in, since I was clearly not feeling high energy at the time, why didn't I reach for something I've already enchanted, infused with energy to be used in a situation like that when I feel like I'm kind of lagging, but I need that, big boost of energy to power that spell as well, and I'm not feeling like I'm fully charged. Get a charged object that's already been coated with my essence, my magic, my witchiness, for lack of better words, and use that to embolden the spell. Why didn't I find ways to work on grounding myself first so that I could come at it more energetically with more emotion? Because those emotions matter when you're doing a spell. What I'm basically getting at is, by my own standards, no, I wasn't doing magic the right way. That's a thing. Another thing. Now, I could talk about this, but I think a lot of you probably can relate if you share some of your stuff online, like your any ritual you're doing, if you share your readings, if you share your spells, like I said, altars and so forth. So, one of the things doing it maybe not the right way is oversharing. This is something I have to watch myself from doing. When I share magical workings, if I share anything I'm doing and I'm telling you this is, hey, I'm showing you the spell, but I'm really doing it for myself, that's great, that's fine. I come into that spell with the knowledge of I'm sharing. A lot of times I hold a piece out. I'm not going to lie, guys. I'll hold an extra step out or something that I maybe did beforehand, before camera, but usually it's at the end. There's some other thing I'm doing, with my own little razzle dazzle I'm putting on it, where I'm giving just a little bit more energetic boost to that spell for it to work. And here's why. Um, Witches are mysterious. Practicing magic is mysterious. And I know we live in a world where we're in the information age. Everything is available to Google and search. I'm on here telling things, sharing things, so how mysterious can it be? Guess what? Your individual working, your personal workings are mysterious to me. I don't know exactly what you're doing. You don't know exactly what I'm doing. Fun fact, all your favorite witchy YouTubers or witch talk, they're showing you if they're effective, if they're trying to be consistent, and if they have their own standards and they have success with spells. You're not, what you see is just that. There's so much more going on in the background before they started filming, afterwards, when they're not filming, which goes into my next thing. Not sharing. Just not sharing the things that I'm doing. Please know there's other stuff happening in the background for me as far as me actually doing spells. I do not show every spell that I do. There is a temptation to show more, to share more. The more I'm comfortable with this YouTube world and this camera, yeah, the more I am with Instagram and eventually Witch Talk, getting on TikTok and everything. Yeah, it's getting real cozy, and I can see very easily just sharing a little bit more, a little bit more. And next thing you know, it's all on display, and that's not a good thing, not by my standards, because I believe that part of the process is the mystery. You don't need to know. I don't need to know all the time how the sausage is made. I know the principles. I've made homemade sausage, by the way, so I actually do know how it's made. But sometimes I don't need to overanalyze, dissect every ingredient because I'm taking away the mystery, the magic, and I'm overthinking the parts, the individual parts, and not looking at the overall big picture and getting caught up in that. Yeah, that's doing magic the wrong way. It's throwing me off. And sharing that detailed, I don't think is helpful for you, the viewer who are watching. If you were watching me do something, if I outline every single thing that I did, and like that's it, I showed you everything. I told you every little detail, because if you notice in situations like that, people who do that, who share, and if you try to do that spell or others will tell you they do the same exact way, it didn't work. You got to put your own razzle dazzle, your own little spice on it. Your own little, who are you? What do you have to offer? For some people, it really is. your own spice, bodily fluids, hair, your hair, it's you. It's a part of you. You're fueling that. You see me? You're fueling that spell. So, yeah, that wouldn't be doing magic the right way to do otherwise by my standards. So, the last thing that I'll go into on this, are you doing magic the right way? Okay. I know this is a little touchy. It's coming from a place of neutrality. It's not coming from a place of hate, I promise you. No, seriously, it's not. Okay. Thinking your magic has got to be dark. There is balance, people. I feel we have gotten away from what we call, the light and love witches, you know what I mean? The light workers, as if that's a bad thing. It's not. A lot of us who are practitioners want to get really far from that because it seems um, not the real witchcraft. It doesn't seem for some people. Let's just be honest. It seems like it's just scraping the surface. There's so much more, and a lot of us tend to say, "Well, let's look. We're talking light and dark." And don't get caught up on these words, guys. On giving these different meanings, just light and dark magic. Just stay with me for a moment. Um, Basically, an end of a spectrum. So light, dark. So we don't like that. So a good amount of us like to kind of stay in a midpoint. Stay in a midpoint. But there's a good amount, at least via social media, who really want to go to the other spectrum, as if to point out that they are better at understanding magic and true magic and how to wield it and how to yield it and so forth, because they're willing to go into more darker themes and so forth. And I just feel like that's BS, because if you really did have a full understanding, as you state, you'd be looking for a certain level of balance. Sometimes we teeter, but eventually the goal is to right yourself. You're evolving. We're evolving beings. Things happen. So sometimes we'll be over here, but eventually you'll find yourself, back again in the center, or at least you're aiming to keep this level of balance between that light and dark energy. That's the real trick. That's the real magic trick. It's not about being on either, staying on either end of that spectrum. You don't want to just stay light and love, and you don't want to just stay over here. I'm just gonna dark magic. I don't know. We'll call it that. But the point is, you don't want to stay in those there. If you're playing over here and you're working over here or whatever, you eventually want to work your way back to the middle. So that wouldn't be doing magic the right way for me. My standards are the way that I practice. For me, if I stayed on either end, no, we used to call them fluffy bunnies. What is it? Fluffy mat, fluffy bunny, witches, things like that. I remember back in the Wicca days, years ago, people would refer to them like fluffy bunnies or stuff like that. They're just so cute, and everything is just pink pastels and happy. Da 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 da. And you know what? I love that aesthetic, so I don't hate on it. That's okay with me. But also know I like my deep, dark colors. I like my darker themes at times. I like to explore a level of violence and using that violent energy and things like that to bring about certain changes and effects and things of that nature. I like to use alchemy for that purpose. I'm open to that on both ends. That's why I like to kind of stay, try to keep it balanced in the middle. But that would be doing it the right way for me. That's not something I struggle with as much, I'll be honest with you. The one thing, and I'll wrap up with this, that I do struggle with when doing my magic the right way is consistency. A lot of times I have ambitions and I have goals and I set them, and I really do disappoint myself when I don't follow through. I laugh, but I'm like seriously annoyed with myself at times when I don't follow through in the real time, in the moment. I know I'm not doing it, and I'm like, why are you doing this? But I don't actually get up to go do whatever the thing is. For instance, I like to do a tarot. I love tarot cards. I love reading them. I have my favorite decks. I'm branched out. I have branched out more into oracle cards. I feel like I don't use those oracle cards as much as I should, and it irritates the frick out of me because I know, one, I invested money into those cards. I was called to those cards, and there are times there's that little magical nudging. Hey, why don't you pull out the cards? And I haven't. And there's no excuse. It's just I just haven't done it as much. And that irritates me about myself. So that's not honoring my intuition, my higher self, my truth, and any messaging I receive. Constantly ignoring things like that. No, that's not doing magic the right way. By the way, that's for all of us, not just me. But constantly not questioning, but like legit ignoring, knowing you heard a little sound, you smelt a scent that triggers something else, or whatever the situation is, however you're being given a message or given a signal or a sign, and to keep ignoring it, you ignore it once, something else comes up, you ignore it. Um, it's a betrayal to something. If you're practicing, you know better, so it's definitely a betrayal. So that is not doing magic the right way. So yeah, I won't go so much. I'm not gonna beat myself up so much on this video about things, but just know we are all continuing to try to just do our best, show up the best way possible, myself included. I don't get everything right. I don't remember everything. Speaking of, another thing is if you say you understand the influence of lunar energy and you consistently ignore the phases of the moon or the lunar cycle almost consistently, you're basically never really plugged in, and you're making a point to not do something to make sure you're remembering, yeah, you may not be you're doing magic the right way. And I'm speaking about myself, by the way. Not so much now, but I'll have like a streak of like month one, month two, and almost month three. I'm like, the frick am I doing? Like, how did I not notice this? All these days, the month is going by and I haven't clued in, or I'm aware, I see it, but I do nothing about it, and I feel guilty for not doing anything. And I feel guilty because there's something I should be doing. And another thing, and that's just using, lunar cycles and things like that. So for me personally, just speaking from personal experience, when I do forget a moon cycle, I do feel guilty about it. I hate that, by the way. I do. And I think the guilt is one part because I know better, so I should be doing better. The other part, though, is I know that I'm intentionally, willfully ignoring an opportunity to work with energy that is beneficial to me or beneficial to whatever agenda I'm working, whatever goal I'm working towards, or, whatever task I want to perform. I am working against my own interests. And that's disappointing, hence the guilt. So, yeah, that's not practicing magic the right way. That's not. And having those feelings of guilt and disappointment in yourself is also super not helpful. So rather than say, oh, don't beat yourself up, it's okay, please don't beat yourself up. But just now that you know better, do better. Don't keep repeating the same cycles as a witch. Take this stuff seriously. Maybe scale back on what your magical practice is if you're finding that you are constantly kind of disappointed with yourself for not doing more, whether it's in the spell work, rituals, or like I said, just following lunar cycles. So maybe, scale back. I've done that, speaking from experience, where I took a very simple approach to how I did my witchcraft. I just slowed down and kind of felt the small things that I was doing. If I pulled a card, I really got into it, journaled about it, reflected on it, thought about it all day, that sort of stuff. One crystal, I put in my shirt, down my bra, or something like that. I would make sure every day that week I have that, or for whatever, how long I do it, I'm making sure I'm very careful with that crystal. I'm holding that crystal when it's warm after it's been on my skin. I'm thinking about my intentions and all that sort of stuff. I'm really focused on it. So let's say for that week, that's the witchiest thing I did, is put a crystal in my bra and held the warmth of it in my hand, and looks forward to charging that one crystal, and using either sun energy or moon energy. You know, I really, really focus and just let myself get wrapped up in working with that crystal. That might be what you need to do, by the way, so you're doing your magic the right way. Is maybe completely scale back a little bit and just approach it totally different, because you might be trying to do too much all at once and it's not resonating anymore. That's why you're forgetting when it's a full moon. That's why you're kind of cutting corners, your own corners that you set. You're cutting corners and it's like, oh, it's like the candle to work. I'm magical enough to boost it. Listen, we all are, but there are those additional things that you do. It's all about gathering energy. It's about raising energy. And that's really what you need to get a lot of all your workings done, is that energy. So you need the additional steps because it's revving up the energy to empower that spell. And that would be doing it the right way, by the way. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much again for watching. I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Please like, subscribe, share, and if you've already subscribed, really, I thank you very much. And thank you so much again for watching. Bye-bye.